Leach.
Thanks. So when I was a little boy, I loved things that like most other little boys in Texas uh, did not love. I loved the show Dynasty. Uh, I loved the show Dallas. Here's a deep dive. I love the show Falcon Crest. I loved any show that had like an older woman in a gown fighting with another older woman in a gown. Like, I love those shows. And the other thing I loved was Barbies. I loved playing with dolls because I think I could like funnel that drama like through the Barbies and stuff like that. But like when you're a little boy in Texas, like everyone else is playing football and stuff, and like you're not like allowed to like talk about Dynasty and how much you love Barbies and stuff like that. So there wasn't a lot of opportunities for me to do that. Like there were like Human and like GI Joes, but like you've never seen a GI Joe in like a beautiful ball gown. They just can't pull it off. So I was always at a loss. This little drama. And my parents were very lovely to me. I did ask them for a Barbie once, and they bought me one of those Barbies. She had automated like eyelashes, and they would be blue, and they would wink and stuff like that. So that they supported me quietly because I wasn't like bringing that everywhere. So one day I went over to. I had met this new friend. We started a new elementary school, and I had this new friend. She started out as a friend. Allie, if you're here tonight, we're gonna meet after this. And she invited me over to her house to come play. And I was sitting there, and there were other kids around, mainly little girls and stuff like that, which was fine with me. I was preferred that really. And they got out like this big bag of Barbies. Like girls would keep Barbies just in a giant bag, and then they would always have like cars, and they had a whole setup. And like I wanted to like just jump in and play with them, but I knew that was not allowed for me. And the girls started playing with these Barbies, and they're just sort of like, putting them in one dress and then taking them out of that dress and then putting them in another dress and brushing their hair. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? What are we just taking these things out of clothes and putting them out of their clothes? So I started sort of edging. I started with the Ken, and I was like, maybe Ken has something to say to this Barbie. And so I started creating like a storyline, right? And eventually, I had passed the Ken off to another girl who was not good at this game. And I had taken over one of the Barbies, and we were off to the races. These Barbies were living their lives. They were owning businesses. They were owning 51% of this company, and they were stealing it from the Ken. And we were having a great time. And I was loving it because the girls like had kind of like taken me into their like fold. I mean, I was probably being very dominant. I don't know if they had mansplaining back then. I was probably doing that. But I also feel like as a gay person, I do have like a little asterisk about like being able to play with Barbies at least. So I was like so enjoying myself, and we spent the whole day. We were playing outside, and there were Barbies, and we were like creating storylines, and they had cars, and it was just like so great, and I had so much fun because I was like doing something I love. I was like playing Dynasty with these Barbies and these other girls, and I felt like friendship and stuff like that, which I didn't have a lot of because I was a boy in Texas and I wasn't playing football. I was watching Dynasty. So it was kind of getting late in the night, and Allie had a pool, and everyone got in the pool, and then, Allie got in her like nightgown to go to bed, and then I had to leave, and everyone left, right? So then the next day at school, or a couple days after that, when we went to school, I like realized that I had a lot of eyes of ridicule on me, and I also was being told that I was a girl, which was at the time the worst insult you could probably be told if you were a boy. I thought because I was playing with Barbies, and girl, if you don't know, translates to gay, which is also the worst thing that you can be if you're a little boy in Texas. And I was like mortified because this time that I thought I was having a good time and love, and I made this friend without, she turned that on me and revealed that I was just this little girl playing with all the other little girls and thus inferior to everybody else. And I know that I'm talking about like gender dynamics and stuff like that, but that I don't really buy into, but at the time was like really, really heavy on me. And I just was like, God, this sucks, being this little boy in Texas. But I didn't let it like take me down. I just realized that probably I would just have to wait a little while before I could get old enough to then maybe move somewhere where boys playing with Barbies wouldn't be so bad. Like, I don't know, envision that was like New York or Denver or something like that. But what Allie didn't know about me is that although she had won that battle, I was good at winning wars. And after I realized that Allie had betrayed me, I knew that you had to fight fire with fire. So what I did is, in turn, I told everybody in that school, well, I may play with Barbies, but you know what? Allie wears her nightgown to school as a dress. It may not sound like a devastating blow, but it was. And Allie never to mess with me again. And I did eventually play with Barbies. Not in Denver, New York, but later on. Thanks.
Ryan Leach.